Welcome, beloved. If you found this message, it's not by accident. God is calling you to something greater. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any life-changing revelations that will help you step into your divine destiny. Have you ever felt different from those around you? As if something deep inside keeps whispering that you were meant for more. Maybe you've faced struggles that others don't seem to experience, or you felt a relentless pull toward a purpose you can't yet fully grasp. If so, you may be one of God's chosen ones, set apart for something extraordinary. But how can you be sure? Being chosen by God is not about status or privilege. It is about purpose, refinement, and a divine calling that transforms your life. The journey is not always easy, but there are clear signs that reveal when God's hand is upon you. Stay with me until the end, because you may just realize that you've been chosen all along. And if you're ready, hit that subscribe button and comment below. Lord, I know you have chosen me. You have always felt different from a young age. You may have sensed that you don't quite fit in. While others are content with a normal life, you have always felt an inner restlessness, as if something inside of you knows you are called to more. Perhaps you think more deeply, feel things more intensely, or have a longing for something beyond the ordinary. This is not your imagination. It is the mark of someone set apart by God. In the Bible, Joseph had prophetic dreams about his future, but when he shared them, his own brothers mocked him. Moses, despite growing up in Pharaoh's palace, never felt truly at home because he was destined to lead the Israelites to freedom. Their difference was not a mistake. It was preparation for their purpose. If you have ever struggled to understand why you don't fit into the world's mold, consider this. God never intended for you to. Your life has been full of trials and challenges. Being chosen does not mean an easy life. In fact, the opposite is often true. Those whom God calls are often tested in ways that seem unfair or even unbearable. You may have faced rejection, betrayal, financial hardship, emotional suffering, or spiritual battles that feel relentless. But these challenges are not punishments. They are part of God's process to strengthen and refine you. Joseph was thrown into a pit and sold into slavery before he became Egypt's prime minister. David, though anointed as king in his youth, had to endure years of running for his life before he ever sat on the throne. If you have wondered why life seems to be harder for you than for others, it is because God is preparing you for something greater. The pressure you feel is the pressure that turns coal into diamonds. The fire you endure is the fire that purifies gold. You feel a deep, unshakable calling within you. No matter what you do, no matter how much you try to ignore it, there is something inside you that keeps pulling you toward something greater. It might not make sense to those around you, and sometimes it may not even make sense to you. But the feeling will not leave. This is how Jeremiah the prophet described it. His word is in my heart like a fire shut up in my bones. I am weary of holding it in. Indeed, I cannot. Jeremiah 29. If you feel an urgency, a holy restlessness that refuses to fade, it is because God has placed something inside of you that cannot be silenced. God's presence feels real and personal to you. There are moments in your life when you have felt God's presence in a way that is undeniable. It could be through prayer, worship, dreams, or even in everyday situations where you just know God is with you. Many in the Bible had powerful encounters with God before stepping into their calling. Samuel, as a child, heard God call his name. Paul, on the road to Damascus, was stopped by a blinding light and the voice of Jesus. Not everyone experiences God in the same way, but if you have felt his nudging, his guidance, or his voice leading you, It is because He has chosen you for something special. You have faced strong spiritual opposition. If you are chosen by God, Satan sees you as a threat. This means that you will experience spiritual attacks designed to distract, discourage, or destroy you before you ever reach your purpose. Paul was beaten, shipwrecked, imprisoned, and persecuted, all because of his divine calling. Job lost everything, not because he did anything wrong, but because the enemy knew his faithfulness would bring God great glory. If you have ever wondered why the attacks against your life feel so intense, it is because the enemy is afraid of what will happen when you step fully into your calling. You have a natural influence over others. Whether you realize it or not, people are drawn to you. They come to you for advice, for encouragement, for wisdom, even when you don't seek it. There is something about you that inspires trust and admiration, not because of who you are, but because of the anointing God has placed upon you. Moses did not see himself as a leader, but God called him to deliver an entire nation. Esther was just an ordinary girl, but God positioned her as a queen to save His people. Those who are chosen do not choose themselves. God chooses them. If people naturally follow you, it is because God has called you to lead. Doors open supernaturally in your life. When you are chosen, God will open doors that no man can shut. You will find yourself walking into opportunities that you didn't expect, meeting people who change your destiny, and seeing things fall into place in ways that only God could orchestrate. Esther never imagined she would be queen. David never expected to be king while tending sheep. But when the time was right, God positioned them exactly where they needed to be. If you have experienced moments where everything aligned too perfectly to be coincidence, take it as a sign. God is leading you somewhere important. Are you chosen? Being chosen by God does not mean an easy life. It means a life of purpose. It means being shaped, refined, tested, and prepared for something greater than yourself. It means carrying a calling that will not let you settle for less than what you were created for. So, ask yourself, do you see these signs in your life? If the answer is yes, then know this. You are not just another person. You are chosen. Do you believe God has chosen you? Declare it in the comments. Lord, I know you have chosen me. I am ready for my destiny. Don't forget to subscribe for more powerful messages. Your journey is just beginning.